Hi everyone, it's Jeanette from Jewelry by Jeanette, and today I'm going to show you how to make these cute and simple post earrings. What you're going to need to make these earrings are the following tools and supplies. You will need 2 pieces of 20 gauge tarnish resistant wire, and I've cut my wire already to approximately 3 inches in length. Whoops. And you won't need this much. Of course, we're going to cut these down, but I like using larger pieces than I need because they're easier to work with. You want to use non-tarnish or tarnish resistant wire because these posts are going to go through your ears, of course, and we want to be careful with the metal that we use for that. You will also need some sort of backing for your earrings. Now I'm using these bullet backs, but you can use silicone, you can use the butterfly nut backings, you can use the disc earring backings, whatever you have, whatever you like. For tools, you will need flush cutters, chain nose pliers, looping pliers. You can see these have 6 steps on them, but if you want to use your round nose pliers, if you don't have a 6-step looping pliers, wow, that's a lot to say. You could certainly use your round nose pliers, but I like using these because this way I know that the loops, the round parts, will be exactly the same size. You will need some sort of file for your wire. I'm using a wire rounding tool. This has a little cup with a burr in it. You could use a nail file, emery board, metal files. You could use those as well. They will work. They just might take a little longer. But you want to file the end of the wire that's going to go through your ear, because otherwise you might scratch yourself or the recipient of your jewelry might scratch themselves. You don't want that to happen. Excuse my voice, allergies. You will need something to measure your wire. This is just a little 6-inch ruler I have here. And this is the spool of wire that I cut my pieces from. I will have links to the materials in the description box below this video. And I will also provide you with links to coupons and special deals that you can get if you purchase through those links. They don't cost you any more, and I get a little bit of a commission on it, and I really do appreciate your support. Remember, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my new videos. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do is decide on how large I want this loop to be. And I think I'm going to go a little bit larger with this one. I think I'm going to use the 5th step right here. So what I'm going to do is take my wire and I'm going to place it between the jaws of these pliers, and the size that I'm using that I want to wrap around is going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to grip it here. I'm going to show you the size I'm using. The step I'm using is on the bottom. And when you place your wire in these pliers, you want to make sure that you can barely feel it. In fact, it's better if you don't feel it. There we go. Because if not, your loop will not be round. And if you want that, that's great. But I want it to be round. So I'm just going to gently and slowly roll. And at the same time, I'm pressing it into the mandrel part, the step part, and you see right here, I'm going to bring it so you can see it here, I've completed the loop and it's just barely touching the wire again, right there. And that's where I'm going to stop. Okay, now I'm going to just take it off my pliers, and you'll see I actually have a little bit of an overlap there. That's not a problem because I'm going to take my pliers, my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to pull that out just a tiny little bit, and I'm going to flatten it and make sure that it's not overlapping anymore. And now I want to straighten this loop out because right now it looks like a P, and I don't want it to look like a P. I want this to be centered on top of my straight piece of wire. So I'm going to grab it in here, inside the loop, and I'm just going to hold it with my fingernail and my other my pointer finger, and just slowly bend it. Very slowly. The key here is small, slow movements, and that looks good. Now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers. You can use flat nose if you want, and I'm grabbing this loop just where the straight section meets the loop, right about there, and I'm holding it firmly. And I'm just going to, the movement I'm going to make is this. Let me just straighten this out a little bit with my fingers. Easy to do. What you want to do is you want to bend this loop into a right angle, but you're also going to be guiding it and pressing it with your fingers. So I'll show you slowly. I'm bending and I'm pressing this down a little bit because I want a nice sharp angle. That's exactly what I want. And if you don't get it quite right, you can just repeat with your pliers, put them back in there, and fiddle with it a little bit until it's the way you want it to be. And that's what I want, a right angle, right? And now the rest, it's just so easy because now we're going to trim this down. And I'm going to talk to you about size. Now I've tried various lengths for this wire when the part that's going to go into your ear. And I have found that the best length, the most comfortable length for me is 1/2 inch. You don't want your wire to be too short because then it's not going to fit all the way through your ear, or it'll be really tight when you put the clip back, when you put the backing on it. But you don't want it to be so long that it scratches your neck either. So I've found that if I cut this at 1/2 inch, and I am measuring from where the post part starts. So I'm going to lay this on my ruler here, so you can see. And what I'm going to do is take my flush cutter, and I want the flush cutter, the flush part of the flush cutter, to be facing, let's say, towards the loop of the earring, because that's going to give you the smoothest cut. So I'm going to come over here. I hope you can see me. It may be a little difficult, but I am coming into where the 1/2 inch mark is, and I'm putting my pliers there. And I'm not moving my pliers, and I'm going to give it a snip. It's pretty easy to cut. Now, I hope you can see here how when I cut it, it's sort of flared out a little bit, and it's kind of sharp. And that's why I said we need something to smooth out that sharp edge. So let me move these tools away so that you'll see. I'm going to put this in my wire rounder, and I'm just going to turn in one direction, keeping it straight. If you're using a file, and I will go get my file and I'll show you how you would file it. Okay? pretty good. It's still a little rough. So let me get my file and show you how to use a file instead. All right, so here's my nail file, and I'm just going to file the edges and go around. This is a coarse file. You can use a fine file as well. All right, I'm just going around the edges, and be careful because if you have a plated wire, that might take some of the plating off. So just be really careful. Oh, that's perfect. Nice and smooth, right? And you would just repeat to make the other earring. In fact, it's so easy. I'll make the other one right now. And these are great if you want to make different sizes, if you have multiple holes in your ears, or you want to make sets and sell them at craft shows and art shows. And forgive the sawing in the background. My neighbors are doing some kind of work. They've been doing it for about a week, but you know, and I have to be really careful. Yeah, I want this one on the bottom. Make sure that I don't feel anything here. Okay, make my loop. Excuse me. All right. And there we are. And straighten it out again. I have a habit of overshooting the loop. That's okay. Easy to fix. Flatten that out, right? And now remember, I want to bend this back so that the post is straight. Very slow, very gentle. Okay, it's bent a little bit too much, so a very small adjustment. Perfect, okay. I'm grabbing this loop right at the base where it meets the straight part. Gently bending and pushing. It needs a little bit more. There we are. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch. Excuse me. Right there. Holding that in there. Get my cutter. And grab it at the 1/2 inch mark. Give it a little snip. Should be the same size. Let's see. Yep, it's a little long, so I can come back. It's always better to be a little longer because then you can trim off more. You can't add if you don't have enough. So I'm just going to put these right next to each other, and I can see that this one needs a little more. There we go. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you make some of these, and again, make them in different colors, and just make sure that you're using a quality wire that is tarnish resistant or non-tarnish. You want to be careful with what you put in your ears. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.